this, oh, okay. I'm good with it. Okay.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Monday, July 10th, 2023 board meeting to order. Sorry, we're a few minutes late. We had a work session prior to this. So I would just ask you all now to please join me for a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Now, if we would all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And tonight I will read our mission statement. The Waterloo Schools community commits to a comprehensive system of education and support to assure that each and every student will graduate prepared for college, career, and citizenship as evidenced by continuing education, pursuing a career path, and contributing to a community. Now this evening, it is time for information from individuals and delegations. And we do know tonight that Jody, our representative from our teachers union, will be coming up and would like to address. If there's anyone else in the audience, I will read a caveat about the time limit. You have 3 minutes, and Jody's aware of that. So is there anyone else that would like to address the board tonight on an agenda item? Okay. Amber also? Perfect. So we will start with Jody, and if you just state your name and your address and your role, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Oh, green light's on. I am Jody Baller, and I am the president of the Waterloo Education Association, and I live at 2778 Crestline Avenue in Waterloo.
Amber McGivern, and I am the president for the WESP, and I also live in Waterloo.
And so as requested, we're just giving a small update about things that we've been working on during the last year and things that we are thinking are really important as we're moving forward into the 2023-24 school year. So throughout the past school year, the Waterloo Education Association, along with the WESP, have listened to teachers and paraeducators, both individually and as buildings. We know there are never quick fixes, but we're always working behind the scenes with district leadership to facilitate the best working environment and learning environment that we can. So some of our notable work this year with district leadership, we met with different teacher groups to facilitate change in various programs. We were part of the dress code change discussions, as well as interviews that were happening throughout the district. We have been working to strengthen teacher retention and mentoring, reviewing the TLC program, increasing attendance and learning at our TQ programs for teachers, advocating the importance of planning time and subs, securing subs, improving our school safety practices, and clarifying policies around personal days has been some of the things that we've worked on. These are just a portion of the topics that we addressed with leadership. We've been able to engage in meaningful collaboration and problem solving. While there has been change this school year, there's still a lot of working pieces that we're continuing to work on. I just returned back from the NEA-RA that was in Orlando, Florida, and was able to listen and speak with educators from all around the country. Public educators have come under attack from our legislature, and it's important that we come together to do what's best for our students. Our WEA will meet with district leadership next week to start these conversations for the upcoming school year. Some of these issues include our LGBTQ+ community It is so important to our association to help both students and teachers feel safe and supported in the learning environment. Our books and our freedom to learn. Our students will learn best when they can find books that they can connect to and see themselves in. Students should be able to learn about history and current culture without being censored. Mentoring and induction programs, they're vital to retaining teachers in our district. We currently are at approximately 1 veteran teacher to 4 newer incoming teachers. We would like to work to reduce the number to provide all new teachers better support. We appreciate all your work and the work of district leadership. Thank you so much, and we look forward to this coming school year.
Thank you very much, Jody.
Thank you.
Okay. Appreciate all your work, and we appreciate that update and letting us know that the summer is not a time for rest for you, both. Okay, now we will move on to our consent agenda this evening, which consists of 7 items this evening. Item A is the minutes of the June 12th, 2023 regular board meeting and the June 28th special board meeting. Item B, personnel appointments and adjustments. Item C, bills due and payable and bills paid between board meetings. Item D, Success Link MOU, coordination of services. Item E, appointment of level 1 investigators. Item F, the setting the date of the public hearing for the CMS WCCX furniture. And item G, Urban Education Network 2324 membership dues. Are there any of these items that board members would like to have removed?
D.
Item D. And any other? Okay, so could I get a motion to approve items A, B, C, E, F, and G?
So moved.
Second. And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. So that moves us on to Exhibit D, which is the Success Link MOU. The superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the Success Link Coordination of Success Street Memorandum of Understanding for the 23 through 25 school year at a cost of approximately $100,000 for each school year to work with our students. And a second? Second?
Second.
Thank you, and we'll have discussion. We have Donna Kittrick here, and Brett McCullough from
Success Link.
Success. Yes, thank you very much. We appreciate your input, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Yes. So this is, maybe a little lower. This is an additional contract. Last time we brought the mental health services contract to you, which was also under the Success Link title, so this may be a little bit confusing. So this one is for the operation of the infrastructure of our Success Street offices and all the agencies that are under that umbrella. So I know, Stacy, you had some questions. Did you get, we have some answers.
Do you want me to just go through them?
I sent Pam the answers, but we probably didn't
Oh.
send it in a timely manner, so.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I didn't look. Okay.
Yeah, g-
And I think it's good to just ask
Yeah,
them so
no,
everyone
that's
hears them
fine.
anyway. So the first one is like, how many students are served each year through Success Link? Do we know?
Yeah. Hello again, I was here last month with
Hi.
Success Street for the mental health, so here we are again. So I've got the answers to your questions there. So we see approximately between 3,000, 3,200 students each year at our Success Street sites, and those are in all the schools in Waterloo.
Every school has a site?
We've got 3 primary sites that look like a clinic. You walk in and there's an office, receptionist, a bank of offices. But
That's
the
it.
services then go out to all of the schools.
That's at East, West, and
Well, Carver.
Okay.
Yep.
And so then what programs out of these are utilized the most, and which ones are utilized the least?
Mental health is utilized the most, and that was what we were here for last month, was
Yeah.
that. Followed by the Together for Youth program, which is the sexual health program that goes into the classrooms. Then followed by People's Community Health Clinic. They provide all the health services. They bring in nurses and nurse practitioners into the site, so they see students for a whole gamut of different things, from sports physicals, immunizations, well checks, those types of things, at all of the sites as well. Followed by substance abuse from Pathways, and then really the healthy relationships provided by Amani, Riverview, and Waypoint would be the least. We've got partnerships with about 20 different nonprofits in the area youth serving. Those are the ones that are kind of scheduled to come through. If they would like to have legal services or food bank or something else, those are arranged and they come in on site, kind of PRN.
Well, and on this situation, lower numbers, actually mean
It's-
less
it's a
problems.
good-
So
right,
we'd
right.
like that,
Yeah,
but yeah.
So how are kids aware of what's available to them?
We've really primarily used social media. We really have moved away from written materials to social media. And so we've got somebody working with that regularly with the social media piece. Word of mouth by students still seems to be the biggest thing, especially for the mental health and the health. Students will say, I saw a counselor down here at Success Street, let's get you down there too. So that's the primary system.
In addition to our school counseling
Yeah,
teams.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the counselors in the schools.
They're the gateway to services.
Right.
So what's the 100,000 going to be used for?
That is used for the whole infrastructure of it, and from that, we've got the receptionist piece. We also have a full-time coordinator, success rate coordinator, paid half out of these funds. That just coordinates all the different services. She's basically a walking billboard, scheduling, working with the parents, those types of things that works with. Data gathering, office supplies, leases for the copiers, staff training, printing, mail, a portion of my time, a portion of a grant writer's time, mileage, IT support, kind of the whole gamut of office-type operations.
So it's true full-time people and,
The clerical is full-time, and then the success rate coordinator is full-time, yes.
So, also, I have a big list, I'm sorry, guys.
No, that's fine.
Are family planning / safe sex tools offered to students who come in? Like, do we offer condoms, birth control, pregnancy options, anything like that? Like,
They
or
do
do they get
pregnancy
referrals?
tests.
They do get tests,
The
okay.
tests. That's it. There are no contraceptives provided. If there's requests for those types of things, those are all referred out
To who?
to either Allen Primary Care, to Unity Point, to Allen Women's Health Center, or back to People's Community Health
okay.
Clinic. Right. No, we don't do any of that
No.
on school property.
So when Peoples comes,
They
it
won't-
has to be done
Has to
off-site?
be, they have to go out for those.
Is
Yeah.
that state law, or is that just how we've decided to do it?
That's just how we've decided to do it. We've been in the school since 1994, and
Mm-hmm.
if it's something this district wants us to look at doing, we certainly could. We just have not, because we weren't sure historically what the district would like to do. It opens
Is
up
it
a
done
lot
in
of
other
different-
districts?
Pardon?
Are those things provided in other districts?
Other districts in the state really don't have a success.
don't have
Oh, really? Okay.
No, we're probably the only one with the comprehensive programs that we offer our families and our students.
Okay. So you talked about the people that are on site daily.
Right.
And so how do kids then make an appointment? Do they just go through their regular counselor, or can they go to the Success
You can answer that one, yeah.
Center, or how does that work?
Okay, at the three main clinics
Yeah.
where the coordinator is, they could go in and make an appointment. Or there's a referral process where they would talk to their counselor on what they want the appointment for, and we would, parent consent, make the referral and things like that. So there are different ways to make and so they make the appointment, and then the student may choose to see the provider at Success Street versus going out into the community and seeing them.
Are there kids, though, that come directly to the clinic instead of going to the hospital?
Yes.
I think that was it. I was also just talking about how it worked for them to get legal aid, substance abuse, pregnancy support, but you kind of just talked about that they,
Yeah, and a lot of times the students will come down, they might make a health appointment because that's kind of non-threatening.
Okay,
And it may turn out that they might have a substance abuse issue, or maybe they did have a sexual abuse or assault. And then those referrals could be made. And those staff are really good at picking up on those cues. Yeah.
when I went to the one in East, I think, they were talking, a wonderful lady that was at the desk, but we were talking about how much needs to come from donations and fundraising kind of stuff. Do you have a sufficient budget, or?
Yeah, right now, I mean, this is a community initiative, and it always has been, and that's been, I mean, the Waterloo schools, even the mental health piece that you funded last month is also funded by part of the community. So McElroy puts in $25,000 into the Success Street sites. Otto Schoitz, $40,000. United Way is $34,000. Community Foundation, I've got a request into them for $25,000. I'm pretty sure that'll come through. They've been funding it since '94, so I can't see it stopping now. CDC Foundation was $30,000 for 2 years, and we no longer have those. Those were temporary dollars. Bank interest, we get about $3,500 for. So our budget is about $230,000 per year, of
And-
which about $130 then comes from other sources.
Is that paying, like, the medical providers and everything, or is
Those
that
are all-
separate?
That's separate.
Because it's under their kids' insurance?
It's, yeah, or through HRSA, like People's Community Health Clinic is funded primarily through a federal grant, HRSA.
HRSA?
Yeah, Health Resources Services Administration.
Okay.
And that's where their funding comes from. Pathways just funds theirs from other grants that they get, that type of thing. Yep,
So everyone is seen without being billed.
right. It's
Okay,
caught
that's
every-
kind of where I was trying.
Yeah, this is not billed to any insurances, and anyone can receive the services regardless of income level.
The facility is very nice. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
They're nicer than some doctor's offices I've been in, so. Would you mind maybe sending me the budget one and like where?
Absolutely, I can
Where you
put
get
that to
everything
the,
from?
I can send that to Pam.
Okay, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
You're welcome.
And then just finalizing, this is 100,000 each year for '23 and for '24.
Right, up to.
Right.
I want to make that real clear. This is up to. If we get additional dollars, that is subtracted from this amount. So if in October I get a $20,000 grant, then it's $80,000. If that keeps going, we'll keep reducing that, and that's kind of been the way it's been for many years.
No, we appreciate that,
Yeah.
and obviously, the more grants you get, the more programs you
That's
can
right.
offer, too. So, awesome.
Yeah.
Any other question from board members?
No, but I would like to offer a friendly amendment, if that's okay.
Sure.
Strike the words "of approximately" and replace them with
Up
"up to."
to, yes. And I think, Jesse, you, yes, and Stacy?
Yep.
Perfect. So, friendly amendment is up to. So, the superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the Success Link coordination for up to $100,000 for the school year 23, 24 to 25 to work with our students. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you both very much for your explanations.
guys.
Appreciate it. Okay, the next item on our agenda tonight is, I guess that concludes the agenda, consent agenda items. We will go to item H, which is the West High Marching Band travel to the Drum Major Camp at Eastern Illinois University in Charleston, Illinois. And we do have the West High Band Director here, and I'll get the recommendation on the table, and if you'd come up to the microphone, we'd appreciate that. The superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve travel for West High's drum majors to travel to Charleston, Illinois to attend the Drum Major Camp from July 16th through the 21st, 2023.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, and would you tell us a little bit about the trip, and we would love to know.
Sure. So we have, past couple years, had the drum majors go to like a one-day camp over at UNI. And that was good. I think they got some good information there. But we've been looking for a deeper experience, one that they're going to get more curriculum at them, get a chance to practice, get a chance to collaborate more. Just kind of take it up a couple notches with that. And this particular camp emphasizes conducting skills, teaching skills, so like they can be extensions of our staff, and work with our section leaders too on being extensions of us during rehearsals, the different marching styles, so they're really fluent on those things and feel confident on those things and being good examples, and performance, because it's kind of a showpiece. You know, you're out in front of everybody, and there's some showmanship involved as well. So I like those core curriculum things that they offer. Plus, they have some activities there. I don't know, there was a slideshow sent out with some video links and things like that, but kind of the culminating thing at the end of the, they have like a presentation, almost like if you were graduating from the Marine Corps or something like that, and you're kind of showing off what you learned. But they're layering a lot of different skills simultaneously there, and plus I think it's some college instructors are teaching that, and there's also some good kind of bonding activities planned there for the kids too, that I think will is good to have a tight-knit unit going into the season and everybody unified on the same page. So I'm excited about this opportunity for our students.
How many drum majors do you have this year?
3.
3, okay.
We have a
Someday.
senior and 2 juniors.
Someday, I would like to see enough funding from somewhere to take the entire section leader group, not just the drum majors, because the servant leadership opportunities here and learning how to become a leader and serve something bigger than yourself
Right.
are really, really neat, and not just for West High, but East High. That would be a goal that I would have.
That would be very cool.
Very transformative for a large number of students that would then reach the students that they are servant leaders to.
Right.
Who will drive?
How many section leaders?
What's that?
It really depends on the size of the band, the section leader group. I mean, how many section leaders do you have next year, Mr. Dobbs, at West High?
I think 19 plus the drum majors. So it
So
depends on
21.
if there's a larger section, like if the trumpets have 12 to 14, we might have a couple. If one section has 6 to 8, one person might be able to serve that. So it kind of depends on each kind of group.
When I did my 7-year career as a band teacher in Houston, when the band started to get really good and when it was transformative was when we were able to send that large number of section leaders and drum majors to a camp like this. So I would really advocate, as we think for the future and spreading servant leadership and student leadership, they really get so much out of it. It's so great. So thank you for bringing this today.
That would be great. Like, so, I mean, I have my own little section leader. How did the first practice go today? How did it go?
Good, good. So we didn't kind of jump in too hard and heavy, just kind of get to know you and have a welcoming environment for our new people in there. Got everybody what they needed for the summer to do some practicing and introduced some warm-ups and the music for the year. So they kind of get a head start on that. And I think it's nice to have a midsummer checkpoint. And so sometimes kids can kind of like drift away a little bit in the summer, so it's nice to have some contact time.
I had to explain that to her last night. She's like, school's not back in session already.
Just 90 minutes.
But it's morning 90.
Yes, there you go.
But having that, because trying to help her be a section leader to a bunch of boys, kind of rowdy boys, like having that skill, it really would be great if we could do.
Oh, yeah,
more of
it's
that.
really, really helpful for them to learn leadership stuff and find common ground with people that are different from them.
Yeah, well, goals.
How large a band do you expect to have?
I mean, if everybody on paper comes, hopefully we'll be in that 90 to 100 for the marching band.
Who's going to drive to Charleston?
Assistant Director Sally Lang, Assistant Band Director.
And that's all got the proper documents and all that
I
sort of
believe
thing?
so.
Okay. Thank you.
Also, thank you to Sally Lang for taking a week out of her summer, unpaid, to go do this for our students to increase the leadership within the group.
We're not paying her? She doesn't get a stipend?
I mean, they get a stipend, but
Oh, okay.
it's a voluntary
No, yes,
thing,
yes.
you know.
No, I got nervous.
It
like,
kind
we're
of
not doing anything.
reduces the amount that the stipend is worth every extra week that you do.
No, you're completely right.
Maybe she'll do some shopping in Chicago. I don't know.
Hope she'll enjoy it.
Yeah,
Did you
something
get
fun.
quite a few freshmen coming in this year?
Very, very far. It's very
I mean, I think the middle schools are less probably than they traditionally have been, but I think it's around 45 total. That's like concert band, and then maybe 60% of those for, 50 to 60% of those for marching band in there,
So it's growing back, yeah.
little by little.
And do the freshmen march this year?
Do they? It is optional for them.
Optional. Okay, got it. Well, we should.
I'm sorry, just put in one more plug. What's this year's marching band?
In the Stars. So we have like, probably the thing to recognize the most is Rewrite the Stars from Greatest Showman. That kind of permeates throughout. In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. Miami Vice, Days there, and then an original one by the composer called Aurora. So it's kind of doing that stars theme and different ways that stars can transcend, I guess.
Very cool. And East is doing, are they doing Metallica?
They're doing some, I believe they're doing
Metal show of some
metal
sort.
show of some sort, yeah.
So man, there's going to be great
Super
stuff this year.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we would really like it if your drum majors would come back and visit with us and tell us how the experience was and promote maybe getting sectional leaders to go, you know, that how their learning was and what went well. So if you could arrange that with Pam at some point and get at least a couple of the three to come back, that would be awesome.
Okay. I
And
will
their
speak with them
favorite
about that.
things and that type of thing, so. Maybe they could show us a little bit of the stuff, strut their stuff.
There you go.
There we go.
And
All
get you
right.
guys up marching.
Well, sure. I did that. I had 3 band kids, but they're all old, so anyway. So all in favor of approving the West High drum majors to Illinois, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giles.
Okay, our next item on our agenda tonight is the music therapy MOU. And I see we have Travis here tonight, and I'll get Megan Allen. And she's the Director of Special Ed, and Travis is the instructional coach for fine arts for a couple days more, or maybe it's over. But anyway, the superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the MOU with the Wartburg College Music Therapy Department to host music therapy practicum students as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Perfect, thank you, Esther, and go ahead, we're excited to hear.
Yeah, excited to share. So fun fact, I'll admit my bias up front. I went to Wartburg College, so there's that connection. But I was working with Megan Allen on helping our specialist group work with students with IEPs, address their goals, all of those things, also engaging with our arts integration residencies and working to ensure that teaching artists are meeting those goals and all students are accessing all of these awesome opportunities. When we were looking through what are some other ways that we might enhance a student's experience, especially for those within our special ed programs, music therapy came up. I, back in undergrad, worked in the music therapy lab. Music therapy is used to meet goals or strive for outcomes that support a student's learning, or it's been used in clinical settings for like those in hospice or dementia or all of these different areas. And so we took a field trip up in January to check out Wartburg's music therapy program, their classes, kind of the lab setting, all of those experiences. And felt really good when we left. I tuned my fair share of auto harps, so if you're ever familiar with an auto harp, my pastor played it way back in the day, so like it's one of those 90s ingrained memories. So I think we might have some of those coming if the MOU is approved, as well as other experiences, but I'm going to turn it over to Megan, who can better speak from the special ed side about how music therapy could support our students.
So before visiting, before visiting Wartburg College, I didn't really know anything about what music therapy was. Travis had been talking about it, but I really just felt like I needed to see a little bit more about it in order to learn. My first impression, I felt blown away. I got the opportunity to see sessions, session plans, and a variety of ways to meet learners' unique needs using music. My first impression was how great for our kids, and my second impression was how great to have this opportunity to have practicum students come into our schools and for our staff to benefit from observing them working with our students, not only our special education teachers, but support staff and our music teachers as well.
So the MOU is structured in such a way that music therapy practicum students would come down and perform, basically like for those of us in education, we did like field experience in student teaching. Practicum is their field experience. So they're going to come with a licensed music therapist, and they're going to work with students in either our extended core or behavior focus programs to meet mutual objectives. The MOU is really just to put in place these services that will be at no cost for up to, I think, through the 25-26 school year. We're still kind of mapping out what that looks like and what that feels like, but that's kind of where we're at. I know from experience with the faculty up there, a friend of mine is a prof there, and he worked in a residential facility in the Champaign-Urbana area in Illinois, and so when I knew that, I was also thinking about behavior focus areas that could really use some support that might be some non-traditional ways of meeting students where they're at. When I was at Hoover, taught an adaptive music course for our extended core students. So I had 6th through 8th grade students with Chris Jesse's kids, if any of you know her. And so working on those mutual goals, we saw gains that we didn't intend, but just happened because of the power of that music instruction and experience. Wonder what questions do any of you have?
How did we end up, like, does Wartburg go other places, or did we just get them?
So, they do go other places like Bremwood. Also, there aren't many K-12 entities that they do site-based experiences, aside from Waverly, just because it's nearby.
Yeah.
I think it's a really ripe opportunity, and so I was like, hey, you get to work with students that you normally wouldn't get to, racially and culturally diverse, linguistically diverse. I think that provides a great experience for our students, their students, and while we're looking at maybe an elementary start, I'm really thinking about when I talk to former music students about careers in music. Music therapy is not considered, or sometimes considered, and I know at least one graduating senior is considering. And so this could be one of those things that we just take off with.
This is awesome because music is just, generational, and my father had dementia and he had a music therapist, and that was like the highlight of his day. Every day he had a musical therapist come in. So the need is extremely important, and it is cross-generational. My son-in-law's from Africa, and the music there to here to there, we all know music. Even if the language is different, we all know music. So it's cool. I'm really excited about this. Who will oversee it for the district?
I think that's me.
Okay, all right. Well, that might lead to our segue
Yeah,
here.
I was gonna actually, when Megan came up, I was like, I'm not sure if the board knows that Megan's our new director of special ed. So I don't know if you were here last year for a meeting or not.
I wasn't. No.
Okay,
It's
so
been
yeah.
several years since I've been to a
Wow,
meeting.
okay. So I just want to make sure the board put a face with a name if they hadn't already, and so we're super excited. And I believe we've got your replacement. The
Yes.
coordinator will be starting here
Wednesday.
later in
Yes.
2 days.
Yes.
So welcome. Want to
Thank
make
you.
sure we did that quick. so.
Congratulations, Meg. We're
thank you.
excited.
Welcome.
Thanks.
And on a sad note, Travis, we want to wish you all the best. And you have done lots in your energetic spirit. I always liked when your name was on the agenda because I knew it was going to be fun. So, okay, any other questions for Megan or Travis?
Just what's the scope? How many practicum students will there be? How many locations will they be at in Waterloo?
All things that we are kind of working out. This is so new that we are thinking probably one building, hopefully a building that has a variety of programs such as extended core, behavior focus, or preschool, kind of any combination of those. Travis, do you know about how many teachers? I'm not sure how many.
I think it just depends on the student population. So it really might be, we were thinking about 2 to 3 here per semester to start small. And they, in the MOU, if you have a copy of that, they're going to be doing like a 40 to 45 minute session, which might be group or individual based in those settings. Megan and I will collaborate on like what our teachers can look for. That would be like ethical for them to fall under, because we don't want to say that we're doing music therapy and not be a music therapist, because that's unethical. Just wanted to make sure that's on the screen and all those things for people not to get it twisted. But really looking forward to 2 to 3 practicum students each semester. Maybe more. They also have a May term, so that might offer some experiences, or the extended school year could be another opportunity.
And I think they have a J term too, don't they?
Wartburg doesn't, Luther
Oh,
does.
shoot. Okay. All
So,
right.
Megan, will you come back then at the end of the year and kind of let us know how
Absolutely.
things went?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, all in favor then of approving the music therapy MOU, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you both very much. Bye, Travis. Our next item on the agenda this evening, in which we all became educated on this evening, is the purchase of the letters professional learning materials. We have Jen Hartman and Ryan, and the teacher from Orange might be coming up too. But the superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the purchase of letters, professional learning materials at a total cost of $310,362 to be phased in over the next 3 years, 2023 to 2026.
So moved.
Second.
And discussion, please.
Sure. Okay, so first of all, I think you gave Connor a heart attack.
But I
But I
think
think
it's
it's
good to
good. I think
hear a
it's good.
teacher's perspective.
Absolutely.
So I really would appreciate him educating our audiences on his perspective.
Sure. Okay, so I'll give you guys a quick overview again. I know you guys have heard this, but I'll just kind of go back through everything that we talked about. So Letters is language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling. It's a comprehensive professional learning model that teaches elementary educators. It gives them a deep knowledge of literacy and language expertise. It's not a program. It basically takes and it teaches them the skills that they need to be able to take any reading curriculum and apply those skills to make students more successful. The focus of the program is phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension, and then written language. It's based on the science of reading, which is a body of research that tells about how the brain learns to read, because that reading is not a natural process for the brain. It has to be learned, which is very different than language. Language is just picked up just by being around people who speak the same language. Professional learning will be provided by Kelsey, who you guys met earlier, but she had to go through Central Rivers AEA at no additional cost. The district cost will be $798 per teacher for the letters materials. That'll give them both volumes, which is all 8 units of learning. Plus, there's an additional $100 per year for the online version, which gives additional learning opportunities. Plus, each unit, teachers have to take an assessment just to make sure that they're proficient in the learning that was to take place. It'll be provided in 3 phases. So phase 1 will be 23-24, and that'll be our literacy coaches, mentor coaches, instructional strat coaches, along with our title teachers, and then our strategists from kindergarten through 8th grade. And then they will be learning units 1 through 4, and I'll kind of give you a quick overview of what those units are here in just a second. But phase 2, the group I just mentioned, they'll finish units 5 through 8, and then that's when classroom teachers, kindergarten through 5th grade, will start on those units 1 through 8. And then phase 3 will be when kindergarten through 5th grade teachers complete units 5 through 8. The other thing is we'll be onboarding new teachers and coaches as they start with us. Every 2 years, they'll either join in one of the current trainings, or AEA has trainings that they're doing for several other districts throughout the area, and they'll join in with one of them if need be, unless we have enough room for our own. Just a quick overview of each of the units. So unit 1, This is kind of where they start. It's the challenge of learning to read. And it talks about why reading can be difficult for students, how the brain learns to read, skills that support proficient readers, and then how to assess for prevention and early intervention, because that's going to be key to this being successful. Unit 2, speech sounds of English, so how phonological skills develop, the importance of phonological awareness, so thinking and noticing sounds, recognizing and responding to errors as they happen. Unit 3, teaching beginning phonics, word recognition, and spelling. So the role of phonics in reading instruction, understanding some basic patterns of the position-based spelling in English, because that can be very challenging. Decodable text and when it's important to use. And then Unit 4, advanced decoding, spelling, and word recognition. This is when students are going to learn, or teachers are going to learn about phoneme grapheme mapping, which is where you say the word, then you segment the sounds, and then you actually write it, so you're getting all three of those modalities. The 6 syllable types will be taught during this. And then relationship between reading fluency and comprehension, which that activity that Kelsey did for us where you started at 70% and then worked up to 95, that's kind of where that comes in. Unit 5, mighty word, oral language, and vocabulary. So vocabulary knowledge, background, oral language, proficiency, and reading comprehension. This is where they'll do some mental mapping of known words, and then building that language-rich classroom. And then Unit 6, digging for meaning, understanding, reading comprehension. So language and cognitive skills needed to support reading comprehension, creating mental models, how text structure affects comprehension. Unit 7 is then text-driven comprehension, strategies that are used during and then after reading, importance of generating questions, so as students read, they're creating their own questions, and then planning for comprehension instruction for narrative and informational text. And then Unit 8 wraps up with the reading-writing connection, so the necessary skills for writing, and then the phases of the writing process. So again, this isn't a program, it's building our teachers' knowledge of literacy. It can be applied with any reading curriculum, so if we would change curriculums, we don't have to change this. This can be used with whatever we happen to be using at the time.
Now, you were saying the early intervention, I was just thinking about this. Would it be beneficial to have our pre-K teachers, because in the consistency you were talking about, and I just think, to teach and to know what works, and how the brain works, couldn't be anything but helpful for our 4-year-olds and pre-readers, and
Yeah.
some kids are reading at 4.
Well, and possibly even just maybe doing like the first 4 units that really would hit on
Right.
things that they would be working on
Yeah.
closer to the pre-K level. I don't know that they would necessarily have to do the entire thing, but yeah, I don't see why that would
I just
be.
think it would create the opportunity younger to be
Absolutely.
consistent going up, as we were talking about, the consistency was critical,
Yep.
so.
So are the $7.98 per teacher, is that a consumable book that they get?
It's not a consumable book. It's just like a textbook.
Okay.
So I wish I would have brought one, but it's a really thick, scary-looking text. But it kind of, like what Kelsey was talking about earlier when we were talking, that's her go-to resource now. She's got a library full of books available to her at the AEA, but she seems to pick that one up the most because it's very concise. It has things for whatever you happen to have a struggling reader doing, you can find the answer or at least a suggestion in that text.
So, so the book then can move,
Yeah, so if a
Keep moving
teacher,
down.
yep, so say a first grade teacher leaves, that new first grade teacher would just take over that book, and then that's what they would use to get their training. So we would still have to buy another online
what I was gonna
subscription for
ask.
2 years for that teacher,
Okay.
so that they would have access to the assessments and the other additional learning that happens there. But we would not have to buy another $798 book.
How do we ensure that
What's that?
the books don't leave the classroom?
We'll just have our lit coaches be in charge of that, just kind of like we do all the other resources. As a teacher leaves, they go through, they have a check-in list. We'll add this to that list as they become part of it. We won't do it until next year when it's part of the classroom teachers. We'll have it for strats and title for next year, though.
so with the rotation, so year 1 is just Unit A, right?
Year one will be those first 4 units. So it's broken into 2 volumes. Volume 1 is 1 through 4, volume 2 is 5 through 8.
Okay, so I guess all I'm asking is it going to continually be that as new people come in, there's always phase 1 available? Like, will you?
Yeah, the AA will, it might not necessarily be just Waterloo teachers.
Okay.
But for
got
the
ya.
first 3 years until 25, 26, it will be just Waterloo teachers. And then after that, they might join another group
Okay.
to take that. The other thing that we thought about was if a teacher misses a section, we're going to make it available to where they can jump in with another group if that works out. Or Kelsey has offered to teach additional times on the PD day in the afternoon, so maybe she's teaching Unit 2 in the morning, and then she'll teach Unit 1 again in the afternoon. That way, for those who missed, can do that.
So why wouldn't we include teachers in year one?
I think it's just too big of a lift. I think it's too many teachers to the number of trainers that they have at AEA available. I don't think it would be, they wouldn't be able to get that ongoing coaching that they would need to be successful. I think it would be too much at one time. That way, if there's any kinks that we need to work out in the way that we deliver the instruction or how it's implemented with students, we can work that out with a smaller group first.
There's pros and cons. I mean,
Yeah.
you have your people trained and nobody's gonna use it. If teachers aren't using it, it's kind of like, it's gonna escape for a year. You'd think you'd want at least some teachers using it off the get-go, as many as they can support. But
Yeah, and they felt like that was the number that they could support for year one.
The AA?
The AA, yeah.
So, a teacher perspective. Yeah.
Speaking to elementary students is way more scary than speaking to us. Trust me. I can't imagine.
But please state your name and your.
Cotter Baroni, first grade teacher at Orange Elementary. So while they were presenting letters training, I just put my input on the consistency from myself as a gen ed teacher, but also our strategists, our title teachers that were using the same language. I could be saying, look at the picture. My neighbor could be saying, what would make sense? The title teacher could be saying, sound it out. Just using all the different languages where, once again, the kids can get confused. I just think the program, not the program, but like the resource for the teachers will benefit instruction overall and then build over time into the upper grades and then see those increased scores.
Perfect. That was excellently said. Thank you. So, any other questions for board from board members?
So just, we're trying to hit the 98%, right, of proficiency. That's the goal, right?
For accuracy, yeah.
Right, okay.
95 to 98% accurate, yeah.
Okay, so when will we see that?
Oh, 98, that's how accurate they need to be.
Yeah.
We talked about 80%, and we think that we can get there within 5 years. So that would be 27, 28 school year
Okay.
on fast.
Okay.
So the
And
Highland
you can
teachers,
hold me to it.
the Highland, yeah. The Highland teachers are already somewhat familiar, aren't they?
With pieces of it. So as Kelsey was learning some of the pieces, she was bringing it over, and she did a little pilot with like some second grade teachers. And one of those teachers now has become the literacy coach at Highland. So Highland's going to be a little further ahead than what others are.
So we could maybe do the Highland teachers the first year.
That would be, to have them be like the pilot year?
We can talk about it, but I don't want to commit to that right now, no.
That's a good hymnal, Lyle. Good job. Okay, any other questions? If not, all in favor then of approving the letters, professional learning materials, please state aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you all very
Thank you,
much.
guys.
And it wasn't that bad, was it? Thanks. We appreciate you coming though and your input, because we like to hear from our teachers. Okay, our next item is Exhibit K, which is the Sloan Wallace Stadium Park Change Order Number 1. And we do have Landon Cleary here from ISG, so he's on his way up. And the superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approves Sloan Wallace Stadium Park Change Order Number 01 as an add of $9,858 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, and if you just let us know what's going on, we'd appreciate it.
Yep, so it's kind of two parts to that change order, both electrically related. First, there was the kind of east side of that site, there's a climbing wall, but the conduit for basically what fed that parking lot across the street ran through the footing for that. So when they tore that up, that all needed to be rewired. And the other portion of that project, or of that change order, is because the alternate area wasn't done, there was still some wiring through there that had to be reconnected. So it's kind of keeping the lights on that side, is what that additional wiring for that portion is.
Anything added from facility committee members? Okay.
I'm trying to recall what the status of the new parking lot is. Parking lot along,
Edge of the
Western.
road there. I thought that was, they're gonna move the building, right?
huh?
Move the
Yeah.
shed to extend that
Was that
down.
this year? Did we approve it?
And so we're currently in design for that portion.
I
right
think we
now.
just did the playground for this year.
You're in
but, yeah.
design.
Yep, we're in the design stage for that right
Yeah.
now.
So that lighting won't in any way be affected or should be considered when this project is completed?
You're talking about the lighting for that new parking lot?
Yeah,
Yeah, we've already kind of talked through a little bit with that. It'll be an easy tack on to that
Okay.
lighting circuit, so.
so if there's any if there's any consideration in this project, this parking lot lighting for that parking lot lighting,
Yep, I think you're asking parking lot, or lighting consideration for
yeah,
that new parking lot. Yeah, we would just feed off what we're running from
okay.
lighting poles now for the new playground
I
portion.
just want to make sure we don't do one and then come back later and say, oh. I
Yep,
should've-
we had that conversation on site actually, just
Okay.
last week, so,
all
The
right.
playground looks good.
yeah.
It looks real good. I
Encourage you-
I walked by there last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would encourage you to take a look at it. They're coming together on that very
Yeah.
nicely, so.
Looks nice.
So what's the schedule on the new parking lot? Do you,
Schedule on that one was, I believe, we'll wrap up design and go into bidding this fall, and then
Okay, so
construction next
not till
spring,
next year?
summer.
Concrete to, yeah, we're gonna have concrete the next year because we couldn't get it.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions then for Landon? All right. Then all in favor of accepting the change order for the Stonewall Stadium Park, please state aye.
Aye.
No opposed, chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Okay, our next item on the agenda is Exhibit L, which is Property Casualty Workers' Compensation Insurance Program, and we have Michael here as the expert. Let me get the motion on the table. The superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the quote recommended by the District Insurance Committee to participate in the IASB Safety Group Plan with a total estimated premium of $2,809,505 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, and Michael.
The wave has hit us. We have been talking about this movement of rising costs in the insurance area in the management fund for probably 4 years now, and we have been bumping the management fund up a little bit every year. We have been dealing with EMC. There is a couple other choices for property liability insurance in the state, but they're not very strong competitors. And because of loss ratios, and because of market changes of inflation for materials and labor, costs are going up just like we are experiencing in society across the board. So really the basis of this proposal is EMC came out and said everybody's flat 20% property. It's going up 20%. What they did with that, they also, what kind of constituted that was they added, by formula, they added $95 million to our property value. Because with the inflation rates, the way that they are, that was across the board, regardless of what building you're talking about. Most of our buildings are of the newer sense. The other ones that are older have had remodeling, and so there's a pretty good consistency of our buildings. So it wasn't that hard to come in with a formula. Normally, when we deal with these kind of issues, it's, okay, well, we'll raise our deductible, or we'll take a little higher, and everything was, nope, we're not doing it. We're just making an adjustment to try and catch up with the market. So that is something that's going on across the spectrum with schools. One of the main competitors that is not real competitive in our mind, their property rates were going up over double that. So we're still in a market that's within reason. It's kind of what we expected. So there's two parts of it is the property casualty, or I call liability issues. And if you look on page 80 with the summary of the premiums, the top half, the property liability and different kinds of liability, the umbrella and cyber liability, that's property casualty type part of insurance. So if you look across the last 3 years, it went from 730,000 to 887 in the current year, and it's jumping to $1,099,000. And the majority of that is because of the property value increases. And it also is restricting a little bit our umbrella policy, which we were able in the past to always go into a bigger pool of money, and they are restricting that to individual districts. So we have about the same amount of coverage, but we don't have a lot of flexibility to, if we go over, we can borrow from the bigger pool of money that they have. So this is the first year they've done this. So this is going to be kind of a learning curve for the districts and for the whole market. And we just pray we don't have a derecho go through some districts. So it really is a result of the times, and we're just going to continue to go after what we can. And I will say that EMC through the years has been very appropriately reactive to changes. And when we've had issues, they've dealt with them, and they've looked for things, and they've worked for us. So for them to get to this point, it's kind of like the market corrects itself. You hear that in the stock market sometimes. And that's kind of where they're at now, but they are continuing to go forward And in the motion, it did talk about the insurance committee, so we do have, that's several people from the district, myself and Anthony and a couple people out of our offices that meet with PDCM and their representatives to try to keep on top of what's happening and be able to react to it. So we will continue to work with this. The other part of it, and I'm just going to kind of point it out, and I don't know if Anthony will have anything to add to this, but if you look at the color chart on 79, this is workers' comp. And this is employees getting injured on the job. And for many, many years of my experience of school experience, it's been custodians overreaching, lifting too heavy, food service people cutting their hand, back injuries from whatever. But in the last years, it has been a higher percentage of just staff getting injured of working with students. And it can be somebody that's unruly, or it can be somebody that's out of control as a special ed student, those kind of issues. And there's a lot of training that we do with it. So it's a real effort to deal with all of that. And if you look at the trends on this, if you go back to 2016-17, where our claims are a little bit over our premiums. When you look at the red, a little worse in 17-18 and a little more worse, if that's a correct way of saying that, in 18-19. Well, then we dropped because we had 2 COVID years and the kids were not in the district. There was a lower amount of activities, even in projects and custodial issues and so on. But then 21-22 came back with a vengeance. So there are, in that number, that isn't a solid number in the end. It's showing actual cost plus what they've held back for reserves. Because somebody may have gotten injured and they're not done with their treatment yet. So the insurance company will hold what they think is a reasonable amount. We think it's probably a little high. You know how that goes. So we are stuck with that practice as we go forward, just like as you now look at 22-23, quite a bit lower than our premiums, but all of the claims haven't been processed yet. All of the costs have not been calculated. So we have a trend, when you look over the last 5 or 6, 7 years, we're going up. So with that, that's also part of the total cost. So when you look at workers' comp on page 80, we've gone from, over the last 3 years, from 981,000 to 1.3 to 1.7 for a premium to cover for next year. So overall, we're at a 28% increase when you add both of those factors together. And before I close that, Anthony, did you have anything to add to that part? Okay. It's just something that especially in human resources, they have to work with staff that are injured, and one of the big challenges with that is not just their treatment, but getting them back to work as quickly as possible. And that's, has a lot of different variables to that, of who can do what and how soon, and it's a real management challenge. So we are in the midst of this, and we will continue to work through the processes that we can. And when there's stress on an issue like this, everybody's concerned about it, and everybody's looking for an answer. So I'm anticipating even the workers' comp procedure of how we address some things. PDCM or EMC have put some new practices in place that we're going to introduce for next year, which has been used locally for the last year or so and seeing good results. So they're going to move that into the schools arena. So we hope that we can see some results with that. So not great news, not surprising, and we've been prepared for it, so we'll keep working at it.
Oh, what is it for the commercial excess? I know you touched on that, but, so it's 10 million individual claim limit, or what are you?
I'm not an expert on explaining all of the
Okay.
criteria, but if you can give me a kind of an example, I can get a good answer and send it out to you,
Okay.
to
No.
all of you.
Yeah, no, okay. Just wondering about that.
Yeah, that is a change. So to know that, how that really works, it'd be good to have an example for all of us to be clear.
Okay.
So is there a deductible?
Pardon?
What's our deductible? Or is it by line item?
It's by line item.
Probably like your car, you'll have a different deductible on everything.
I can get you all of that.
Can we partition property out and just purchase the rest of it, not the property?
I would say anything is possible, but I would also say that the insurance companies are protecting themselves, all of them are. So the ability to flex and find a good alternative is going to be a little challenging at this late date. But that would definitely be part of going forward to see how do we address it in the future.
Well, I'm just suggesting we self-fund the property. I mean, we had property damage, they didn't pay anyway.
It's been, we have talked about that.
So that would be, the rest of them, you know, are open-ended on the upsides liability, so you don't really want to, I don't think we can get into that risk. But on property, you know,
I wonder what self-funding would be
right,
for property.
and how much the total cost, it increases 150,000. Is the premium 676,
676.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So for $676,000 a year, we might be able to take our chances on a derecho.
We can certainly look into it, but do you want to just table this and say, I don't know if they will let this sit for a month?
That's the problem, we're kind of late in the
We would probably have to have a special
game.
meeting to address it if we wanted to bring an alternative to this.
I mean, is it something on property you could even divide it out to, say, like, we're not gonna cover wind damage, but catastrophic, say, tornado or something that, you know, we would have coverage for something like that? Is that something viable?
Yeah,
I mean, they're just getting so selective on what
It
they'll
would
pay
be.
out. I mean, too.
there'd be a lot of technicalities to it, regardless of how we'd look at it.
I guess this late in the game, maybe those are things we really should explore further.
Yeah, part of this is, I start begging for this in April. And we got it less than 10 days ago. But that's not our agent's fault. It's, they don't really release it till the end to put us in that position.
And who are the other companies besides EMC?
One of them is the self-funded IPSIP, and I can't remember what it stands for. It's all Iowa schools. Another one is AIG out of Chicago.
And they were both, did we get a estimate for both of those?
We communicate with both of them as far as having, are they an option worth looking at? Those aren't the companies for workers' comp, that's a couple other companies. But that workers' comp is basically run by percentages, and it really doesn't matter a whole lot who you go with, because your loss ratio is going to kick your modified percentage up.
So that's not a relationship with the state, that's through a broker?
Yep. The state is involved as far as the loss ratio and what the companies have to legally charge. We could certainly have a workshop on this for Finance Committee as we go forward with this to see kind of where we want to look at. And I think that may be a...
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, because I think we could probably self-fund property for pretty reasonable.
Well, there's that, and then we probably need to look in more detail at the history of this workman comp. There might be some other things we can do to reduce that risk as well from
But we have to be covered in some capacity, so I think we're kind of limited right now. I would say that'd be a good idea going forward, to really have finance relook at this. If everyone's in agreement with that. Okay. Okay, so all in favor then of accepting the property casualty workers quote, please state aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. All right, thank you, Michael. Then our last agenda item of importance is the renewal of the PEPL, and this again is the physical plan and equipment levy. Do we have to read the whole background, or? Okay. You guys can see it there, and I'll get the motion on the table here, and that is, the superintendent is recommending that the Board of Education approve the submission of the renewal of the physical plan and equipment levy as a ballot issue in the September 12, 2023 special election, and the language to be printed on the ballot as presented, which is above you. So if you all want to read that a minute, and then Michael, if we have any questions to field to him. But it's basically, you know, the PEPL has a 10-year expiration, and it will expire in June of 2027. So we have 4 years, but it can be renewed for an additional 10 years in September if voted in.
So people aren't going to read this. Do we have a succinct message that people will read?
Do we have what?
A more succinct, more layman's written message. People aren't going to read this. They're going to vote yes or no based on other.
I think we'll have ACWI and PR come up with a plan to, I mean, highlight what we've used the PEPL on. I mean, go look at our buildings. I mean, you know, I really think we'll have something really effective
Okay.
going forward.
And I think we need this, because if they walk into the voting booth,
Right,
Yeah, this is just first stage.
yeah.
This is just saying, the board is saying, yes, we want to take it to an election.
yeah,
Here's the official language
Right.
that we have to use, but we will follow up in August of a presentation of saying, here's really what's going to happen with that money.
Esther, sorry, Lyle, some of the information you brought a few months ago, I shared with Akwi
Okay.
to give her an idea of kind of what we're looking at. So some of that's already been, the discussion's already started.
all right.
And in layman's terms, right now, we are still under the PEPAL Intel 27. This is just giving us an additional help for our future budgeting and planning that we would have it for the additional 10 years from 27.
Correct.
So it goes till 27 regardless, and this would make it go to 37 at that point.
But bottom line is to maintain our existing buildings to the point that they don't deteriorate. You know, it's a stitch in time saves nine sort of thing. You don't want a roof leak to cause 10 times the damage. So it's basically
Yeah, and some of the.
maintenance
and
of our
when you-
buildings.
When you look at our history, some of our oldest, newest, new buildings are 20 years old.
Right.
So in the next 15 years, there's going to be a lot of issues with just maintaining that many buildings, so.
And our oldest buildings are our most populous. You know, west, east, they're most populous, so. Okay, any other questions on that?
We didn't get a motion up. So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Nobody said first and second? Okay, thank you. Okay, so then, all in favor then of approving the submission, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. So we will move on now to our non-action items, and that would be our superintendent's report.
Yeah, I got just 3 items here. This past Saturday was the Summer Soul Classic Parade. I had just started last year, and I think I was like a week in, and I heard the parade was going on. Didn't have a chance to make it last year, but super glad I had a chance to make it this year. Beautiful day on Saturday. And actually, the reason I'm bringing this up is Waterloo had a huge contingent in the parade. Probably 30 to 40 staff and another 20 to 30 kids were in it. Well, in terms of the group that walked with us, there was also employees and students all over the parade participating in different floats or different groups. So it was really cool to see. So great job to that group. You know, it's kind of quiet around the office starting in July. A lot of people are off, but we did welcome a handful of new employees that have just started here at the ESC. So it's been kind of fun getting those individuals up to speed. We've got a kind of an informal orientation with a few of our leaders tomorrow. And it's just been helpful. A couple key people we've added, they've already just brought a lot to the table, and we've started some really new ideas that we're going to start seeing here for next year. Last but not least, something I spoke with you guys, the group, about in my, my annual conversation was some of the systems alignment. Just we're really doing some good work. Year one for me, I feel like, was a lot of just take it all in, do a lot of listening, just kind of set the tone, and now it's kind of get some things aligned. And I'm just super excited for a couple of the meetings we have coming up, trying to get crystal clear on job duties, responsibilities, especially here at the district office. I think about each of our different departments in the building, and each department, maybe outside of business, but the other 3 or 4 departments, however you look at it, have a number of new employees. And just making sure we're clear about job duties, responsibilities, and communicating that not only in the building, but out to our staff is going to be big. So a lot of exciting things. Like I said, July's typically, knock on wood, a little bit of a quiet month, but we've got some cool things going on.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's start with Stacy tonight.
I really don't have a whole lot, just for kids to enjoy the summer. It goes way too fast, so play outside, read some books, have a good time.
Jesse.
I'll just offer something out to, I know we have a, probably a new group of middle school parents starting their journey here, and just remind them that, planning for scheduling in high school and stuff, you really need to be looking at it when your kids are in 6th and 7th grade, so you're probably not thinking that far ahead, but picking out those early courses and stuff, so if you're a new middle school parent, start learning what the kids can take when they get 7th grade, 8th grade to help set them up for classes they want to take in high school. So.
And look into the Career Center alignment. Esther.
Just piggybacking off what Jared talked about this past weekend, I wasn't able to attend the parade I did last year, but on Friday there was a college expo as a part of some of the festivities that was going on this weekend. So it was roughly, I got an opportunity to attend for my job, and there was, I want to say, close to 120, mostly Waterloo School students. I think there were 3 students from Cedar Rapids. A parent seen it on social media and brought them down, but it was close to 120 students that were able to participate in the College Expo. They had schools as far as Notre Dame came. Yeah, South Dakota, they had, I think all the Iowa schools were represented. Well, a majority of the region schools were represented, and pretty good turnout of students. Could have used more, but just for parents and community members, just make sure you take advantage of some of the programming that we have to offer in the community. Is beneficial to our students, and it'll only help them for the future. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Janelle.
From yearbook to band, orchestra, choir, our computing, defense stuff, robotics, thanks to all the teachers everywhere who take our kids on trips places. It's not required that you do so, but you're changing so many lives by doing so, so thank you.
Amen to that. Lyle.
I think the letters program has a lot of potential. We just need to make sure we yield or harvest that potential. And then got to observe Esther's drone class out at Hawkeye. That was really, really interesting. Good job, Esther. Kids were engaged, and it was challenging for them. And then just lastly, do we know when we'll know about the education service accounts? Any of that information, do we know yet?
The data, you mean like enrollment
specific
data?
I think they have till July 15th or something to connect with a school, so before that happens, I'm not sure. Well, what do we know?
We've kept a close eye. I know it's a little loosely connected, a really close eye on open enrollments out, which wouldn't be the same, but we can definitely check on that for you and get back. I can check with Julia and see and Sheena if we're seeing anything come through their office. The one thing I am working on for you guys, and I think it's updated, is the open enrollments out. We're really keeping a close eye on that, along with our attendance initiatives. Just really, how can we keep our kids in district? And I will share that. We do have a document that we're keeping a close eye on that. I'll share that with you guys. Open enrollment numbers are looking, I would say, I don't have the exact numbers right in front of me, but very similar to what we've seen in the other past years in terms of new open enrollments out. Obviously, we don't want any new open enrollments out, but we're going to look at the themes, what grade levels, what is it, elementary school, middle school, a lot of kindergartners, locations where they're living at too, so, and where they're going to, what
Right,
districts.
and the reasoning behind it, I guess we
Yes.
were all kind of, wondering what the reason is.
But open enrollments does not include any ESAs, right? They're not classified as an open enrollment.
Different
Correct.
classifications.
All right.
So the latest I've read is just that the state is still processing those that have been approved. those that have applied and when they are approved, and then it gets revealed to the districts during the month of July is what their deadline is.
And the state is way behind,
Yeah.
way behind.
My understanding is being approved by the state doesn't mean they have a school to go to. The application did not require them to identify a targeted school. So,
So the
There's still
state's
another-
allowing to give them the funding, but,
but they have to identify a school, so.
and then the
you know,
school has to
There's
accept.
probably gonna be some fallout
Yeah.
there. I don't know, what communication they've had in general with where they wanna go.
Yeah, they've
But-
got to work through all of those
But-
components.
Where they wanna go, I think they have to identify that by July 15th or something like that. And then that will determine whether or not there's truly a match.
Yeah.
That's probably right.
Right, because the state data is way down. I mean,
Yeah.
way behind, not down, behind. Yeah. Okay, then, you're good, Lyle?
Yeah.
Okay. And I just wanted to, tonight, just remember our partners, the McRoy Trust, again, gave us money. It didn't hit the criteria to come before the board as far as our guidelines, but they support the Youth Emergency and Opportunity Fund. And they gave $650 to East High, $300 to Hoover, $100 to Carver, $400 to Kingsley, $200 to Kittrell, and $300 to Lincoln. And those are additional funds that they just gave. And I just think that we just have such support from our community that we're blessed in the city that the community really works for the betterment of our kids and our districts. So just want to thank all of our community partners and advocates, and just, it does take all of us to raise our kids. So with that said, could I get a motion for an adjournment?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion's carried. We are adjourned. Thank you.